Hi, welcome back to Bride Society. I'm Rebecca and this is Laura.
Pumpkin spice latte season is upon us, which means it's officially autumn. Woohoo! And we realised, looking back at some of our previous videos, that although we've done maybe like spring favourites and winter wedding favourites, we've never actually done an autumn or fall favourites video. So here it is.
In this section we're focusing on autumnal and fall wedding decor and florals. So finding a little inspiration as to what would be perfect at this time of year. Now, a big trend in 2022, as we decided would be in our trends video at the end of last year, is it's the sort of celestial theme. Big all year round, but we feel like the celestial theme particularly lends itself well to this time of year running up into winter. So you will see in the images that we put up and the things that we talk through, particularly in this section, lean very heavily into that celestial vibe.
Yeah, and it works really well because nights are drawing in, so you've got the shorter daylight hours, so you can really highlight those kind of lighting and all those sparkly elements like the golds and things that go with this theme, and you'll see in the images that we're putting up.
Yes. So things like photo backdrops, a great way to build in the celestial elements, because backdrops often big circles and it's quite easy to build that into kind of like a moon shape. So this is something that's quite popular in weddings now, to have these kind of focal point for wedding backdrops, whether it be with props or just for guests to stand in front of and have a nice background to the photos. So yeah, a great photo opportunity and styling opportunity for the venue as well. And that can be done in a number of different ways, as you'll see in the images that we've found predominantly from Pinterest to have around the venue.
And we should say that everything we're showing you is from a Pinterest board that we've put together, and we'll link that below, so you can check out everything at your own leisure, plus a lot more. Also, along the celestial theme, you may have seen in previous years these like circular like glow paper lanterns being really popular as a way of hanging decorations above maybe your wedding reception venue, so over all the tables. Now you can incorporate the celestial theme by incorporating different shaped lanterns. So these may be like star shapes, moons, things like that. So they may or may not light up in different ways, depending on what the type that you use, but you can have them hanging above all the tables and creating like a night sky.
Yeah,
so your guests.
It's like a garland, just like string along, like especially if you've got like beams and stuff in your venue, that'd be really a cool way of hanging things. Also in terms of lighting, again this year starting to introduce candlelight, as Laura was saying, with the nights drawing in and things. So we kind of left the twinkly light thing for more wintry vibes, but still legitimate in an autumnal wedding. But yeah, candlelight. Obviously you need to sort of check the rules with your specific venue about what they have about naked or open flames. But there's a million things you can do with them. Things we've done on our channel even. So whether that's that you're turning apples, like red apples, into candle holders, or glassware with branches. Yeah, bare branches like stuck to the outside, things like that, to kind of get the sort of woody reds for the apples, those kind of tones in there.
And autumn wouldn't really be autumn without pumpkins.
No, it would not.
And again, we've done lots of videos on our channel incorporating pumpkins into like decor or for different purposes, so maybe like signage or place settings for candles, things like that. So whether you're using them as they are naturally, or painting them, or carving them, or myriad of ways to use pumpkins. So we're showing you a few here, but
yes,
really set the tone.
Exactly, yeah. Your centerpieces like lining the aisle, going up staircases, those kind of things, and different size ones, whether they're white pumpkins, painted pumpkins. There's so many things you could do, and I'm here, I'm especially here for like the Munchkin pumpkins. I love a tiny pumpkin.
And they're not even limited to like Halloweeny like theme. Like, you might think pumpkins and Halloween, but I think way away from, you can go down that route. But
you can.
Make them really non-Halloweeny and just seasonal, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as long as you're not carving a scary face in there, I think you could. But if you do want to lean more heavily into the sort of Halloween element of things, if you're more around that specific point in autumn, you could even get some kinds of like pretend, obviously, skulls, and wedding-fire them a bit, like adding some glitter, maybe painting them and using them as kind of props around the room. So sort of a nod to a theme. I'm not suggesting hanging like gargoyles or anything, or things jumping out unless you want to, but sort of just, I'd say, little ways to bring that in.
Now with the florals for autumn, you probably, although there's lots of seasonal autumnal flowers, it's the end of the season for a lot of like the brightly coloured flowers, so you're going probably more into foliage, but we're probably talking more about the colour schemes you might be using to kind of give a nod to that autumn or fall feeling. So we're talking like rusty oranges, like deep reds, the deeper dark, we're going more deeper and darker colours. Appropriately themed clothing today.
Yes, it was intentional. Yes.
This section is all about tablescapes and place settings. So again, we couldn't not include pumpkins.
They have to be there.
Yeah, and especially with the mini ones, the Munchkin ones, these work perfectly for place settings.
Yes. Yeah, and obviously like tables of a smaller, you probably want something smaller on there because there's quite a lot of things already needing to be on the table, like menus, like centerpieces, cutlery, plates, drinks, bottles of wine. You don't want to take up the whole space. So yeah, little Munchkin pumpkins, like there's again tutorials on our channel where we've done things like we've sprayed them gold, which I think look really effective, and adding sort of a name tag as a kind of leaf coming off the top, or similarly, and we did ones with like apples with the sort of leaf being the name on the top as well. Yeah,
and really jazzing them up a bit, adding like beads and things like that to again steer it slightly away from the like Halloweeny style and having it a bit more wedding-ified, I guess.
Yeah. And in those cases doing something just more with it than just simply placing it on the table. But you can simply place them on the table too, and that looks great if you're using sort of like a table runner, or if you're using sort of long narrow tables. Again, having an eclectic mix of them sort of running down the middle, sort of stacking them, playing around with them, maybe mixing in some like eucalyptus or foliage in amongst there as well.
Yeah, lots of ways to make it look really dramatic and effective.
Yes, some candlelight too.
But if you don't want to use pumpkins, fair enough, but why wouldn't you? You could go down the like pine cone route if you want if you're having a bit more of a rustic style, again with the place settings, either attaching a name tag to the pine cones themselves, or incorporating them into like wood slices, things like that.
Or the sort of fallen leaf element of autumn. Obviously that's a strong imagery of fallen leaves. You could go out and forage and collect up some of those fallen leaves, dry them out, spray them gold, and use them as either again decor down the middle of the table, or as the place setting, like the name card, and using sort of some calligraphic style writing for the name.
Or again, if you just want to give a nod to like the autumnal season, you could just play with colour and with your napkins, rather than just having like white napkins on the tables. You can incorporate this like terracotta-y, rusty, orangey colour, a bit similar to this jumper. Have that, or similar autumnal colours, just to like nod to it rather than going all out.
Yeah, so it sort of gives a vibe, but without maybe anyone being able to really put their finger on it. Yeah. This section is all about attire and accessories with that autumnal vibe. So again, colour is really key here. I guess mostly talking about the bridesmaids' dresses or groom suits, or your dress if you're wanting to go outside the whole white dress vibe. Again, those sort of tones similar to what we're wearing don't all have to be matching, of course. You can have kind of an eclectic tonal mix, a palette of those autumnal tones, because they all will tie in quite nicely, so you don't have to pick just one necessarily. And with the suit colour and tie pocket square, again you can kind of use that colour palette to come together to add that extra bit of interest.
And with the suit, we're going into autumn, we're probably talking about like maybe thicker fabrics, and maybe like tweedy fabrics work quite well in the autumn.
Yeah, and I think quite nicely with that as well, like with his like buttonhole or boutonniere or whatever you're going to call it. Again, maybe it's sort of a dried flower root. We're sort of talking, it's sort of the sort of harvest time of year. You think about like the barley, the kind of dried wheats and stuff. So yeah, sort of dried flower for the buttonholes too could be a good way to go.
And also along those lines, maybe like a dried flower hairpiece, maybe like on a comb, something like that, to tie it in. You might be doing dried flowers for the whole wedding, but if you're just picking out certain elements, they're really easy. And the good thing about dried flowers as hair accessories is you don't have to worry about flowers wilting throughout the day. You know that they're going to look as good as they do at the beginning of the day when you're getting ready as well.
I guess also if you're making it yourself, you can do that further in advance too, because you won't have to worry about melting / wilting at all. And that is, as dried flowers generally a strong trend throughout weddings this year, so you would be on it with that idea. But in terms of like sort of hair pieces, the celestial element again can work really well with this, whether it be in terms of combs, headbands, hair slides like rippers or barrettes, I think they're called.
Oh yes. Yeah, or even on your veil if you want to go down that route. You can have it embroidered stars or sparkly bits on, which will just catch a light as you're walking down the aisle.
Nice, bit of twinkle. Flower crowns. Again, you can want dried flowers or fresh flowers that are more in keeping with the time of year. Yourself, your bridesmaids, flower girls, or anybody that wants one. Your rabbits. But yeah, I quite enjoy a flower crown.
This category is all about food, so we're talking wedding cakes, treats and cake toppers.
Yes, the best of all categories really. So for your favours, you could very much do something like chocolate apples, toffee apples, so you tie those up, make it into a place setting as well if you added a little name tag to it, or something like put them out on a kind of dessert table. Also not just for kids, just
for everyone.
Yeah.
If you're talking dessert tables, you might want to have maybe like a pie bar, so maybe like apple pies,
pecan pies,
either mini ones that people can help themselves, or larger ones that people can cut slices out of. Or if you're thinking you might not want a wedding cake and you want a different alternative, you can maybe do piles of pies instead.
Yes. Or when it comes to the cakes, you can mess around with the flavours. So things like, when I think autumnal, maybe like sort of sticky toffee pudding flavour. I think you do that for your cake business. So you have a sticky toffee pudding one. Like apple, we on this channel have done an apple crumble flavoured cake, I think, as well.
You're probably leaning, well, you can have any flavour at any time of year, but certainly in summer people tend to go for like the lighter sponges, like lemon and like vanilla sponge, things like that. But if you're getting into autumn, I feel like you can go for like the heavier, maybe more dessert-like,
sort of denser
flavours.
Yes. And then in terms of what you're putting on that, you're maybe again thinking sort of drizzling caramel over it, sort of in a drip cake effect, or just piling on sort of fruits, fresh figs, sliced oranges,
blackberries.
Yeah, those kind of things, sort of quite decadently piled or spiraled round the cake, placed on, that kind of thing.
Or again, working with the colours, so if you've got bringing in the autumnal colours as part of the wedding, you can also incorporate that onto the cake as well. So again, like the oranges, or picking up like the berry colours, especially if you're having berries on the cake as well.
Yeah, sort of rich tones. And the toppers are another way that you can again build in that celestial theme. So we talked about the sort of large moon-shaped photo backdrops, but you could also have like quite a small moon-shaped topper, perhaps incorporating a dried flower element again, something like that.
You can use pine cones again, so these you can turn these into little versions of yourselves with the correct attire. And then have those on, either make them yourself or buy them from someone, and then have those on the top of the cake just to give that nod to the season.
Yes, and you can also do that exact same thing with pumpkins. Hey. Can't get through a category without mentioning pumpkins. And again, these both the pine cone, I always want to say acorn, pine cone and pumpkin cake toppers are both tutorials on our channel, so we'll link those in the description box below as well. But yes, how to make the top hats, little veils, those kind of things, whichever you need. And another creative design that I've seen, which we'll show you on the screen, is again building up the autumnal thing through the kind of leaf shapes and creating this kind of wire leaf design that runs around the cake. So I don't know, is strictly speaking a cake topper, but cake decoration in no other way.
It still counts.
Yes, and I thought this was a lovely, elegant nod to the theme as well in this particular
subtle way of doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And also with the celestial one, just looping back to that, again, that can be done sort of out of thin wire and having a more delicate effect than maybe the fuller dried flower, stronger look that we were talking about at the start. So yeah, different ways of doing the same themes and things, but yeah. So in our final category for today, we are bringing you some finishing touches. So not necessarily things you need to have at your wedding or that are typically there, but the little extras you might want to add on top.
So first up, something that are at most weddings and you might want to provide for your guests is confetti. But confetti with a difference. So we're talking autumnal themed confetti made out of autumn leaves. So again, it's a natural product, so most venues will probably be okay with that because it will just biodegrade. But it's easy to make yourself if you go out collecting up a lot of leaves, and then we've got a video on our channel how to do it, so we'll link that.
Blankets, again, may become quite popular in recent years, this kind of touches where you have like rolled up blankets, or maybe over the for people to take, or them hanging over the back of people's chairs, maybe especially if you're still going to sort of outdoor events and then just where it cools off a bit in the evening.
Or you might want to make an exit, or at least one for photos anyway, even if it's not actually marking the end of the night. And because you've got probably a bit of a darker time earlier on in the evening, now we're heading into autumn, sparklers. So again, you can display these for your guests to take and then distribute them when it's the time to go, and your photographer can arrange how everyone should act with you and the best place to stand and hold the sparklers. But an extra special touch that works well for the darker evenings, but also then leans into the celestial theme with kind of like starlight and sparkliness.
Yeah, definitely. Again, that's also one to check with your venue that that's okay first. And also hand in hand with that, like if you really want to go for like a firework display, good at that time of year too.
Yeah. And in the UK we have bonfire nights, which typically would have fireworks. So along those lines, with bonfires you might want to toast some marshmallows. So you could set up a marshmallow station for people. This is kind of creeping from a different category. It might have gone into the edible one, but small station, marshmallow station, fire pits outside, people wrapped up in the blankets you provided.
That's some good imagery right there. Like I'd be happy with that, and I went for sure. You could even put out some like cozy slippers for people at that point, not even just like for the whole, what is it, like resting your dancing feet kind of thing, just to kind of be cozy towards the end of the night when you're all doing that around the fire pit. I think that'd be quite nice myself.
So there's just a few of our favourite ideas for an autumnal or fall wedding. If you've got any other thoughts, or if you're incorporating any of these into your wedding planning, please let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to check out our Pinterest board with all these ideas and many more. We've also got a playlist on our channel for all the autumnal DIYs, everything we've mentioned. Give this video a like, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.